Good afternoon, Patriots. This is the American Vision, broadcast on the TLBTV network and brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project. I'm coming to you from my home studio in Cocoa, Florida, which is on America's beautiful Space Coast. And today I have a very special guest. April LaJune is coming to us from southwestern Colorado. And April, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me.
And tell us a little bit about what you do now. I know you have you do YouTube videos, and I think you have a podcast and a web page and so forth. So tell us a little bit about it so our viewers will know who you are.
Well, what I try to do every day is bring information that the mainstream media does not bring out that's pertinent for the day. So keeping people informed of what's really going on behind the scenes while the puppet show over there decides that what kind of propaganda they want to give us. So I try to give them enough information so they can make informed decisions on whatever the subject matter is. Mostly government and politics. But sometimes, like I also have another show that I do so I do like I try to do 2 shows a day, and the other one is about basically financial freedom and taking back your constitutional rights.
I'm all for that. And you've got a pretty extensive background. You were a journalist in Kansas City, Missouri for, I think it was, Kansas City Entertainment. And so that gave you quite an interesting start to your career.
Right. I started out as music entertainment, a reporter. I did a lot of interviews with national acts and things like that coming through Kansas City, and I also did reviews, so like a music critic, and then I went into politics after that.
And you were also on a radio show in Ozark, Missouri, and the reason I'm bringing this up is most everybody knows I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I went to Mizzou, so we're from kind of we have some common grounds there and common territory in the foothills of the Ozark Mountains.
Yes, the Ozark Lake of the Ozarks is one of my favorite places in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we used to go there boating, spend weekends and everything. It's a great place.
Mm-hmm. Yep, one of my favorites.
Yeah. So, hey, what are some of the hot topics you're thinking about today? And maybe I can ask you what you think of AOC or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, and I'm seeing all these memes and I'm hearing all these quotes and I see all these things she says, and it's really astonishing in a way.
Well, she is a puppet of the deep state. That I already know. I mean, it's kind of obvious because the things she says are so stupid that no one can take her serious. No one. So on that note, you got to wonder why. Why are they backing her and what are they doing? So the reason I think that the Democrats are backing her is because they're trying to deflect from what's really going on, which is all the sex scandals now, the voter fraud, the abortion, full-term abortion, and afterbirth murder. It's not even abortion at that time. It's afterbirth murder. And the fact that, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Democrats now are hooked up with El Chapo and drug trafficking. So this whole entire thing with Ocasio-Cortez is basically a reality show put on for younger voting people who have the ability to vote. It's really for the millennials to try to sway them away from all of this other stuff that's really kind of important. It's just a reality show on her side. That's all it is. She's definitely controlled.
Well, this is really interesting because when I watch her speak, and I try to see all sides of all the issues, is she is really a far left progressive, which I call the regressives, and she is really a spokesperson for socialism. And when you're,
Yeah.
and I hadn't tied it together like you are, but what you're doing is saying the deep state, which we all know has a socialist agenda. They want the new world order. And I guess, so she's then become their de facto spokesperson, I presume, to bring in the millennials and distract us from all the other stuff that's going on.
Yes, and according to what I understand, and this is from a girl who she has connected all the dots, and she's on YouTube, and I'm going to be talking about her either today or probably Monday. It depends on my time frame. But anyway, she has connected the dots between a very powerful behind-the-scenes Democrat who has a degree in computer science and Bernie Sanders' organization called the Justice Democrats. And the Justice Democrats held a kind of audition for someone to fill a role. And they do this all the time, apparently. This is a Bernie Sanders organization that's almost, they don't talk about it a whole lot because it's like a reality show. It's set up like a reality show. You audition for the part. They find a place for you to run in a district, and they back you financially with things that they think in that district will make that district vote for you. So she is a creation of this Justice Department, or the Justice Democrats and Bernie Sanders, and which is run by the deep state, pushing an agenda, and their plan is to infiltrate the congressional system with these kinds of people and take it over. So it's an underlying thing that people aren't even noticing.
Then April, in tying her to Bernie Sanders, does that mean that Bernie Sanders is going to make another run at becoming president in 2020? And then using her, because she's too young to run as president, using her as someone who will bring in a wider group of regressives, I guess you might say.
Well, I don't know that he's going to do that. They may put it someone else because if you notice, the left is really going for the socialism stuff. But the problem with their whole theory is they aren't understanding that they're not the majority. No matter how many times they want to tell us they're the majority, they're really not the majority. The conservatives are actually the majority, and the younger people who are paying attention are actually waking up to this fact that, I mean, because you can't come out with outlandishly stupid things and act like a cartoon and then think that serious millennials are going to even be on board with you, besides the fact that they're waking up to the abortion issue and everything else. So they're losing ground. They're just scrambling around right now trying to figure out how they can gain ground. And this is their plan. I don't think their plan is going to work because it's just too stupid. It's literally stupid. It's not even a well thought out deception.
Oh, I agree with that, but we have so many voters in America today, or so many people, citizens, non-citizens in America today, that are really clueless. They have no idea what's happening in America from what I can see. And so they're really misinformed or uninformed and low educated voters, the way I would look at. So is that what they're appealing to?
Well, the problem is they think millennials actually vote. And I don't think that they actually do vote. I think some of them vote, but I don't think as a rule they vote. I think they like to be loud. I think they like to pretend like they're for a cause. But when it comes down to the day of voting, if they got something better to do, they're going to do that. I don't think voting is as important to them as they're trying to make it out to be.
So in other words, the Democrats are thinking of the millennials as a voting bloc that they can control. And in the last election, I think that what you're saying bears that out. As I think about it, they didn't vote that heavily.
No. And the only reason that Ocasio-Cortez was able to win in her district is because of the lazy Democrats she was running against. That's one thing. But if you've listened to the interviews in her district, those people actually think like her. Now, we can't really say that she literally thinks what she's thinking. I think she's more like a really good actress. And because the only reason I'm saying that is because she's getting her script from whoever's writing it, which I think is her chief of staff guy. His name is it's like some kind of Indian type name from like India or Pakistan or something. That's the guy who is her chief of staff. Anyway, I think he writes it. She memorizes it. She goes out there and says it. And I think they've trained her in speaking so that she can be a really good actress. Because if you notice, if you ask her questions later, it's like the woman has no clue what she just said. She's caught off guard. So that tells me she's going by script there, but in reality, she has no clue what she's talking about.
I've noticed that too, but and you're really tying this together for me, and I can't believe that I've been so naive in not doing it. Also, the other thing I've noticed about her is, like, she led a group in the halls of Congress to actually protest Nancy Pelosi, and I thought, what in the world is going on here? Are they eating themselves or are taking the Democratic cannibalism or what?
Well, I think when she first got there, she thought that she was going to be able to, this is her thinking. I think they thought that they were going to be able to take over the Democratic Party and push them into a direction, which is basically the New World Order. The only reason I'm saying that they're pushing it so hard is because they did not know that Donald Trump was going to win. Then they didn't know that that he was going to be able to stay there without them assassinating him like in 5 minutes. So all of the things that they thought were going to happen and all of their strategies have been knocked down by Donald Trump, leaving them in a panic to scramble every day. So she and her little band of people thought they were going to go over there to Nancy Pelosi's office and take over the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Nancy Pelosi had to go over there and say, hey, you better straighten up or we're going to have some major issues. So they put her on the finance committee and this other stuff to make her look like she's this big thing. And they made a strategy between the deep state, the actual Democrats, which they're both corrupt, and the millennials, because they know that without the millennials, they can't do anything. That's why they're trying to rally with her. They're trying to pretend as if they're the young, hip thing, and it's cool to be young and hip and all that kind of thing. But the problem is they don't make any sense. They're pushing the New World Order when our mindset isn't as far gone as they thought that we would be. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. And now that's really a contrast with another very leftist progressive is Elizabeth Warren, who's actually seems like she's running on, we have to hate the rich and get everybody to join a union now.
Yeah, but Elizabeth Warren's never going to make it. She's just there for a distraction. That's it. She'll never make it. She's trying to be young and hip. It's not. She was done before she even announced today. She was already done.
So
I don't know why she's wasting our time.
April, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did a New Year's special, and I did my predictions, and I said I set the over under at 20 for how many Democrat candidates there would be, and I'm going with the over, but every one of them that comes out seems to be more ridiculous than the other.
It's a clown show over there. They don't have anybody. They have creepy Joe Biden. That's never going to fly with as many racial gaffes as he's had and his creepy stalking of little girls. It's just creepy. That's one thing. And then they have Kamala Harris, who's already had an affair with Willie Brown. I don't think that's going to fly. And then they have Cory Booker, who wrote about his own sexually assaulting a young girl in college. It's kind of like, are you crazy? You know? And then they have another woman who David Duke from the KKK just endorsed. He said, yep, I like her. She's the one from Hawaii. I think her name is Garand or something, or Gabrand, or I don't remember her name.
Tulsi Gabbard's.
Yes, her.
Yeah.
And then they have Kirsten Gillibrand, who says, I was sent by God. And I don't know, this whole abortion issue and all these other things, I mean, there's no way. They just shot themselves in the foot before they've even started.
And
I think it's going to be hilarious.
Another thing, on a more serious note, that you just brought up abortion with Virginia and New York, and coming up with, in a sense, you know, they keep the media keeps calling it late-term abortion, but really, isn't it after-birth murder?
Yes, it is. And what's so ridiculous about this is they said, now I don't usually believe polls, but I do believe that 87% of people believe that's ridiculously disgusting and not right at all. I did, even though I don't watch a lot of videos, I can watch short ones sometimes. Anyway, I saw this video yesterday of these two girls that were pro-choice. And after they had seen the testimony of a doctor, an abortion doctor, literally telling them what was going on, along with graphic pictures of what was really going on, they changed their mind when they were done. And I think that's a mistake that conservatives and Christians do, is they try to water down the disgusting reality of abortion itself at any stage. The girl even said, I did not realize that they were fully formed with fingers and toes and all that kind of stuff as early as they are, the babies. And so she changed her mind.
I watched that very same video, and now we know that within just a few days that the baby has a heartbeat and starts forming limbs and etc. But I've always looked at from this point of view, and I guess maybe I got into this many years ago, joining some organizations and meeting with some people, that what this really is, it's the old NOW organization of women, what was that, National Organization of Women. It was their political way of raising money by using this multi-billion-dollar murder industry, which to me, that's what it is. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
Planned Parenthood gets I think in 3 years they got $1.5 billion, and 80% of that money was filtered back to Democrats. So it's just a money laundering organization built on murder. And what they've been also hiding from the people is that most of those abortions happen to be Black people and minorities. So they are trying to get rid of minorities in huge numbers by creating this murder factory, this genocide on the minorities. And I wish that the minorities and the Black people would wake up. And I think they do wake up when they see the graphic pictures. I don't think they wake up because they go, yeah, they're trying to murder us all. But I do think the pictures work.
Yeah, I agree with you. And in bringing that up, unfortunately, so few people in America really know history, because if they did, they would know that the abortion industry was really started back in the 1920s, almost 100 years ago, by Margaret Sanger. And her whole idea, her whole thrust was to keep down or reduce the Black population. And so abortion was her answer to reduce the black population.
Well, I'm hoping with these latest scandals of racism on the Democrat side, because, I mean, I've been saying it forever. I know Dinesh D'Souza brought it out, that the Democrats have always been the party of racism, always, and always been oppressive to races. And I think there's another thing that people don't understand about the oppression and the racism on the Democratic side, which is this, they don't have to speak English thing. Okay. And the reason I think it's a huge issue and very oppressive is because if you think about it, when a person, whether they're Mexican or Chinese or whatever, come over here and they cannot speak English, they're very limited on their job choices. And that is keeping them oppressed. If they were able to learn English and knew how to speak English, they could go to college, they could get better jobs. I know a Chinese woman who is a biology teacher, but she can't speak a lick of English, and here she is. She's working at a chocolate factory for $11 an hour when she could be making a six-figure salary. But because she doesn't know English, she's oppressed. And the Democrats say, well, they shouldn't have to learn anything, no assimilation whatsoever. I'm like, yeah, because you want them to scrub their toilets like they said on The View.
Yeah. And when I wrote my book, 2020, A Clear Vision for America, I think I made a very good case for why people in America need to speak English. And so as immigrants come into this country, if you can't speak English, you're really never going to be successful in the economy of America, because in order to do business, you have to know how to speak English.
Well, can you just imagine it if you were trying to do business and you were trying to expand your business, you had no ability to understand English whatsoever, and you have somebody who really wants your product or your service, but you can't speak English with them. You don't even know if you're getting a deal on a contract, because you're going to have to trust somebody else to negotiate the contract, to read the contract, and you're going to have to sign that contract. If you don't know what you're really signing, those people could take you for everything you have.
Yeah. Now, does this tie together? Because I know you are very outspoken on sanctuary cities. Are sanctuary cities just another way of keeping immigrants, especially those from Latin America and Mexico, speaking, not speaking English, I guess, what I'm trying to say?
Yes, every single thing that is on the Democrats' agenda is keeping people oppressed. Now, the sanctuary city policy is also keeping American citizens who can speak English oppressed, because they can't even go out of their houses. They're afraid that MS-13, which does hide in sanctuary cities. Trust me, I know. Durango is a sanctuary city, whether they want to believe it or not. And we have MS-13 that is, you can just go right to Walmart and see them every day. And nobody wants to go out on the street at night. We have so many murders here that people just sweep under the carpet now. And we're talking about a county that only has about 56,000 people in it total.
So you're talking ridiculous. About what's really happening in your own neighborhood, in your own backyard, because this is where you live.
Yes, that's why I'm going to be moving, because this place is overrun with crime. Democrats, they're trying this green crap, like what Ocasio-Cortez is trying to push now, which we know is a ridiculous Looney Tune reality show. I know that, but they're serious here. And also, the other reason I want to leave Colorado as a state completely is because they do full-time abortion for no reason whatsoever. Mom can have a nail appointment and say, you know what, I don't have time to deal with this kid, get it out of me, and murder it on the way, would you? And that's what Colorado does. And I'm not funding that, and I'm not putting any more of my money into this economy in this state, which does that, and then also gives 5-point-something billion to illegal immigration. I'm not doing it. And you can't get the Republicans here to even step up to the plate and get really pissed off about it. They won't. They won't do it.
I know it's typical of Republicans and conservatives to not to be protesters and not to show up, on the streets and so forth, mainly because most of us are working for a living and we just don't have time for it. And it's not any of our interest because we believe that we're going to elect representatives who are going to represent us. But that's not really reality because our representatives don't represent us. They get to Washington, D.C., they become part of the political establishment and then get drawn into this deep hole, rabbit hole of the deep state.
Yes, and it's just ridiculous. I've seen it over and over again. Sometimes people get into politics, and I've seen this I've been doing this for 30 years. I see somebody, they have nice aspirations to get into politics, and they think they're going to change something or whatever. And then they realize that it is a series of compromises, that it's not like we're negotiating something that is going to be better. The problem is the negotiation includes something that's going to jeopardize your own ethics and morality. So you have to decide whether or not you're going to stand up and say, I'm not doing that. And this is why I got in politics, and I would rather not have your money, and I'm telling the people what you just said to me, which is what I would do.
So you have a lot of things going on every day. Tell us a little bit about how our viewers can find you and watch your YouTubes, and can we subscribe to that? And you have a Facebook page, a web page and all that. Where can we find all these things?
Well, on YouTube, it's youtube.com/April LaJune. That's the same on my Twitter. And it's the same on my Facebook. See, I don't have like a page. I just have a public profile there, and anybody can get on there and see what's going on and make comments and everything, as long as they have their own Facebook page. Account. And then I have aprillajune.com, 2 L's. And that's basically what I do every day, is I do the videos and that kind of thing. And I tweet all the time.
Okay, you're a tweeter. I've never had much success on Twitter, but and I've started my own YouTube channel, but I'm certainly not in your area as far as competition is concerned. But can people subscribe to their YouTube? So, for example, I always seem to find them, or one of my Facebook friends sends me your videos, and I think, oh, I got to watch this, so I watch it. But how do I get them on a regular basis so I don't miss anything?
Well, you've got to hit the subscribe button, and then there's a little bell. If you hit the little bell, that's how the notification gets to you. Without the bell, it's not going to tell you anything. And one thing that I call them social media Nazis. One thing they do is they will periodically cull my people, and they'll take out my moderators, or they'll take out people that I know have subscribed to me like 2 or 3 times, and then they'll be like, I'm not getting the notification, so they have to resubscribe. So you got to watch that subscription all the time, and they're trying to make it so I don't get to 100,000 people. That's what they're doing.
Is that a magic number, or just a milestone?
It's kind of a magic number, sort of. What happens at 100,000 people is they have to verify your account, and they have to send you, which I could care less about, but they send you this little plaque that's got a button on it that looks like a YouTube button. I really just don't care about that. But I think it would pains them greatly to send that to me.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do anything for any of us that would help us promote ourselves. No. Well, April, it's been great having you on the show, and I really enjoyed talking to you. And I know you've had some guests that I've had as well. Like I noticed that you interviewed Ken Crow, and I interviewed him, and so maybe we can, sometime in the future get together for another chat. But I really want to let everybody know that follow April, because she really has some great analysis, and it really tells it the way it is. And like you said in the very beginning, you're going to get the real news, real opinions, real analysis, not the deep state version of their agenda.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, boys and girls, I'm back after a short commercial break. And now I'm going to give you my commercial, and that's 2020, A Clear Vision for America. Get the book. And I hope that you really enjoyed our interview with April. She's really has an amazing YouTube videos, and just very informative to watch her. So be sure you do that. And while you're doing that, it only takes just a few minutes to maybe a minute or so to get onto my webpage, www.2020americabook.com. Get my book. I'm running free specials all the time, where all you have to do is just pay for the shipping and handling, because I just want everybody to read my book and hopefully write some reviews for me. So anyway, God bless you all for watching. And remember, where there is no vision, the people perish. That's Proverbs 29:18. And where the American people have no vision, the American people will perish. And the answer to getting an American vision is to get 2020, A Clear Vision for America. You can get the book 2020, A Clear Vision for America, and read it. And let me know what you think about what I wrote, and what my thoughts and opinions and analysis are. So God bless you all for watching. And God bless our vets and our active duty personnel. And God save our America. We need you now more than ever before.